Gamification in Learning. Prepared by Mohammed Morsi Abdul Majid. Supervised by Dr. Zainab Yassin. Games and gamification. As we discussed in the previous chapter, there are many different types of games with which people engage. In this chapter, we discuss game types that are associated with educational gamification, as well as game type characteristics. Types of games for gamification. Among the various game types that are closely related to gamification, there are war games, simulation games, serious games, and alternate reality games. What is gamification? Gambling is taking the elements of games and using them in different aspects of life, and from that we reach the goal of gamification: breaking the boring education atmosphere and successively explaining the school subjects and giving a feeling of enjoyment. Simulation game. A simulation game type is a game genre that simulates real-world situations or virtual situations. There are many areas to use a simulation game. Among them, business administration is one of the most intriguing fields. The first modern business simulation game was developed by the Rand Corporation in 1955. It was named Monopolilogs. The US Air Force used Monopolilogs to improve the performance of their logistics system and inventory management. Farrier, 1998. Farrier and Wellington, 2004. Jackson, 1959. Since the emergence of simulation games and the computer system, the usage of simulation games has been expanded to other fields. Since the early 1990s, some business functions, such as strategies, financial management, accounting, marketing, and sales, have all used the simulation game type for improving performance. Since the diffusion of the Internet and the spread of information technologies, web-based simulation games have also been used for education. In addition, the simulation game type is not limited to a specific time and space anymore. With smartphones and tablet PCs, people can enjoy the simulation game now. serious game. A serious game is a game that is developed for a purpose other than entertainment. Ulrich and Helms, 2017. It is also called an applied game. Zuda, 2005, defined the serious game type as a mental contest, played with a computer in accordance with specific rules that uses entertainment to further government or corporate training, education, health, public policy, and strategic communication objectives. P. 26. Jouti, Alvarez, Jessel, and Rampner, 2011, claimed that some games have been produced to support serious purposes. According to the researchers, the Oregon Trail game can be considered an ancestor of some of the serious games in the education field. Don Rawich, Bill Heinemann, and Paul DeLomberger developed this game in 1971, and the Minnesota Educational Computing Consortium (MEC) produced this game in 1974 with the purpose of teaching students about American history during the middle 19th century. Reality game. ARG. An alternate reality game is a game that requires involvement in the real world. McGonigal, 2011. Unlike most other game genres, the ARG employs real-world media to deliver its component. The delivery media include text messaging, email, social network service, and websites. Gilliam et al. 2017. Barlow, 2006, argues that the ARG is a game in which gamers can play in both the real world and a virtual online world, assuming that a virtual event happens in the real world. Being aware of some of the fundamental concepts related to ARGs, such as puppet masters, curtains and trailheads, will help to better understand the ARG. Dominic, 2008. Ulbrich, 2011. Puppet masters are people who design and operate the ARG. They help other gamers to play without revealing their status and roles. A curtain in an ARG is a device that hides the puppet masters and the fact that the puppet masters manage the story flow within the game. The main role of the curtain is to help gamers experience the natural story development while playing the game. A trailhead is a clue that provides information on the game. The trailhead can be exposed to potential gamers through social network services, websites, emails, or sometimes non-electronic media. The role of the trailhead is to help gamers be more involved in the game. By using or applying the characteristics of game elements. The above definition is quite important to understand the exact meaning of gamification. Historical foundations of gamification. In many cases, it is difficult to trace the precise origin of a concept. With this in mind, there are many ideas on the origin of gamification. It is possible that some could argue that reward systems in a kingdom from thousands of years ago could be an early version of gamification. As there are many possible variations to gamification's starting point, this section discusses some meaningful examples of gamification from the past that have led to current forms of gamification, rather than tackling gamification's entire timeline. A meaningful step was made by Sperry and Hutchinson Sand in the use of gamification in America. The company began a stamp business in 1896. Grocery stores, gas stations, and other retailers distributed the sand stamps to their customers based on the amount of money customers spent on their products. The customers could then exchange the collected stamps for products such as various housewares, The sand stamp business can be an example of gamification, particularly with the purpose of improving customers' loyalty. In the 1980s, American Airlines (AA) provided another example of using gamification in business through its frequent flyer program, started in 1981. The purpose of this program was to encourage new customers and to retain old ones. Following AA's program, in 1983, Holiday Inn began a similar loyalty program to encourage travelers to stay in Holiday Inns across the USA. For educational purposes, games such as the Oregon Trail and Lemonade Stand were produced in 1970s. In 1980s, more efforts to use gamification for education were made. The following are some of those efforts. Master Type 1981, Rocky's Boots 1982, Typo Attack 1982, Sticker Bear ABC 1984, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? 1985, Number Munchers 1986, Oodle Lake 1986. Definition of gamification in learning and education. Gamification can be useful for learning and instruction because it can promote learner engagement. The fact that many educators face problems related to student interest and engagement in their classrooms is not new to education. In the past, educators have tried to use a variety of interventions, including the use of motivational strategies. However, the effect of the intervention lasted for only a short period of time. Due to its fun and playful nature, gamification can be a good solution to help solve learner engagement and participation issues in the classroom. This book defines gamification in learning and education as follows. Gamification in learning and education is a set of activities and processes to solve problems related to learning and education by using or applying the game mechanics. To have a more clear understanding of the meaning of gamification in learning and education, it may be helpful to see the relationship between serious games and gamification in learning and education. See Gamification and economics. The relationship between gamification and economics is interactive. Gamification can be used for economic purposes, such as advertising a product, increasing customer loyalty, and engaging potential customers. Conversely, however, gamification uses economics and economics theories as fundamental mechanisms. This section discusses experience economy and the behavioral economics associated with gamification. Gamification and experience economy. Pine and Gilmer, 1998-1999, suggested the concept of experience economy to explain a new source of value to which customers attach importance. They argue that experiences can be another economic offering in addition to commodities, goods, and services. According to the experience economy, experience in the past and future brings people happiness that cannot be explained by the existing three. Effects of gamification. There are still disagreements over the effectiveness of gamification on learning and education. However, many researchers have investigated the effects of gamification for learning and education and found positive relationship between gamification and desired outcomes. Aldrich, 2005. Anderson and Rainey, 2012. Dominguez et al. 2013. Ferrer and Witelli, 1990. G. 2003. Pakalinin, Ovanin, and Konen, 2013. Among the various effect types, the discussion in this section focuses on learning achievement and psychological and behavioral changes. Learning achievements can be one of the most important outcomes in learning and education. When educators consider the use of gamification, one of their considerations is whether or not it enhances students' learning achievement. Gamification can enhance higher-order thinking skills. Dominguez et al. 2013. declarative knowledge and procedural knowledge. Sitzman. 2. The effects of gamification for learning and education vary depending on specific conditions, like the characteristics of content and audience. Mayo 2009 insists upon the relatively beneficial effect of gamified courses compared to traditional courses. The researcher analyzed the learning outcomes of gamified courses and traditional courses. Algebra for high school students, geography for college students, numerical methods for college students, ecology biology for middle and high school students, electrostatics for middle school students, and cell biology for college students. The research showed that the students in gamified courses performed at least 7.2% better than the non-gamified courses. College students in a gamified cell biology class performed 40% better than the same lecture-based class. Also, Randall et al. 1992 argue that subject matters with specific content, like mathematics, can show higher positive effects of gamification than other subject matters. Behavioral changes. The outcomes expected from learning include psychological and behavioral changes. Many educators experience difficulty in their classes because their students are not motivated and do not actively participate in class activities. Due to practical experiences such as this, motivation and engagement are the topics that educators and researchers have been interested in for a long time. Some researchers found the effectiveness of gamification on inducing psychological and behavioral changes. Heikkilä et al. 2013. Kumar and Karana 2012. Lee et al. 2012. Nu et al. 2014, and Suangong 2015 all claim that gamified learning can foster students' motivation and engagement. The psychological and behavioral changes resulting from gamification for learning and education are not limited to motivation and engagement. Sitzman. There are three components to tampering, namely, information. It is intended to provide information about events, the results of tampering, information about agents, roles, and information on organisms, features. As providing this information enhances the user's knowledge and understanding of the entire system of tampering. Rules. It is intended to provide information about the goals, sub-goals, and tasks required to perform during gamification, and to clarify the correct path in addition to providing additional options for it. Objectivity. It is intended to provide assistance in the correct context and give meanings and clarifications about the elements of the game. Games. Either for fun, for competition, or for learning, but not necessarily part of education. Games. A game designed to achieve specific educational goals. Gamification. Subjecting an educational situation, originally not designed through a game, to the elements of play. Games are for fun and there may be rules, or without specific rules and objectives. Define learning goals. It might just be a group in which learning goals define tasks with a point or some form of reward. Point loss may or may not be possible, because the point is to motivate people to take some action and learn as a final outcome. Loss of points may or may not be possible because the point is to motivate people to take some action and do something. Win and lose are part of the game. Sometimes play may come first and reward is secondary to a game that is not rewarding or fundamentally valuable. Playing comes first and reward is secondary. Being rewarding in essence, it is an optional process. Usually difficult and expensive to build. Usually expensive and difficult to build. Gamification is usually easier and cheaper. Applications used in the design of gamification software.